Why did you stop being friends with your best friend? My husband and I went on vacation with her and her husband. My husband and I did some gambling and won a decent amount of money. They did not gamble at all. When we got back I found out they had told everyone how much of a B I was because I had not offered to pay for their half of the vacation with my gambling winnings. When I confronted her she did not deny it. I didn't want to be friends with someone that thought money played into our friendship or that talked like that behind my back. He moved house in the middle of the night. We were kids, and it was the 90s. He didn't leave a forwarding address and I don't think he knew he was about to move. We were friends for almost 10 years. Every once in a while, we'd have small arguments, but always come around and told each other everything. Over a year ago, we went to a party. I didn't drink, but he did. He got extremely moody, wouldn't talk to me, and kept disappearing to a room to be alone. Kept brushing me off every time I asked if he was okay. He left the party early without telling me, and I sent him a pissed off text because we had agreed earlier to cap home together. The next day I call and text, no answer. A week passes, more texts, still no answer. I go to his house. His roommate says he won't speak to me. He deletes and blocks me on all social media. I call and text him more, saying I'm sorry for whatever it is I must have done. Still no answer. I message his friends, asking what I could have done, and they have no idea. All he's saying is he doesn't want to see me. At one point I fell into a depression. Am I such an uncaring person that I couldn't even know that I did something wrong? Or was our friendship even that great if he was willing to drop me so suddenly without explanation or goodbye? It's a weird scary thought when someone who knows more about you than anyone refuses to even speak to you ever again. It's been over a year and still no word. I went to a party the other day that I heard he'd be at. The host told me that as soon as he heard I was coming, he decided not to come. It's probably one of the biggest heartbreaks of my life. Was a cop wife for 20 years. When you divorce you not only lose your cop family, you evidently lose your best friend who is married to a cop. I learned a valuable lesson. Friendships built on a common thread last only as long as that thread remains. Heartbreaking. She was one of my best friends, I guess. She was a self-centered drunk, but had some good qualities. We were talking on the phone one day, and she rambled on and on about her stupid lazy co-workers. Then I told her I was afraid I was starting to relapse. Life-threatening illness I thought I was over. She sighed and said, "And? What's that to me?" She was bored and wanted to talk about herself. When I got off the phone I emailed her a Dear Karen letter, saying don't ever contact me again. She didn't, and I didn't either. And I wasn't relapsing after all, thank God. Of course her name is Karen. He got busy with his own life, and I got busy with mine, and as much as I tried to keep in touch, he never did the same. I hear from him once in a blue moon, but whenever I try to make plans, he dodges me. I just finally came to the realization that a friendship isn't worth my time if I'm putting in all the effort and getting absolutely nothing back. It's sad. This is a guy I spent most of my young and teenage years with, practically lived at his house. We spent every waking minute together and had so many awesome times. I guess life just had different paths for us both. I don't begrudge him for anything. I don't think he has intentionally cut me out. I think he's just caught up in his own journey. Maybe one day life will bring us back to the same place and we will spend time together again, but maybe not. He broke off the friendship with me because he married a girl I slept with in the past. I introduced them. When I was young, it was because my best friend grew out of playing with dolls before I did. All she wanted to do was wear makeup, and so she got new friends who all wore makeup. It's been 20 years since I saw her last, but I'll never forget that. Young me was heartbroken. We lived together during our early university years. I was not in a good place when we became friends. A couple years later, I picked myself up, got into really good shape, was accepted into the degree program I wanted, and found an extremely awesome job. She said she couldn't continue being friends with me because I didn't need her. If you don't grow together, you grow apart. Years later we were still Facebook friends. She deleted me when I got engaged. I noticed and asked her why. She said she didn't care anymore about anything in my life. It took me a long time to get over that last part. No one needs that in their life. Summer of 5th grade going into 6th grade. She texted me and asked me if I masturbated. I said no, the truth. She persisted on the conversation. I tried to stop it several times, feeling so weirded out, grossed out, freaked out, and just WTF. She then asked me if I watched porn. I said no, again, the truth. She then proceeded to send me screenshots from Pornhub. Don't remember how the conversation ended. I decided just to keep being friends with her, just trying to look past that. We were calling each other when she starts giving shorter replies when I ask her questions. Then I started to hear heavy breathing from her end and I realized she was masturbating while we were calling. I promptly hung up and never spoke to her again. It slowly fell apart. She moved to live with her partner and we slowly stopped talking as often until rarely talking at all. I knew I was done when she asked me to help find someone to film her wedding that I was not invited to. But she's happy with how her life is, and who am I to judge for that? He ghosted me because he got a girlfriend. I knew it was going to happen, even said so when it happened, but he assured me he wouldn't disappear. It's been 2 months, and counting, since he last texted me. She was a psycho, super controlling and never wanted me to hang out with my other friends. Also never got out of her weird vampire obsession phase. Remember when we were 14 and I said something she didn't like, so she bared her teeth at me and hissed. That's when I thought, okay, well, this pity party is over. Best friend of nearly 10 years expected me to travel halfway across the world and take a month off from work to stay with her and her boyfriend so that we could go to Oktoberfest and maybe do other things. However, when the time came, she refused to make any concrete plans, but still insisted that I apply for a visa and book my tickets anyway. Note that at this stage she hadn't even confirmed the dates and had not spoken to her boyfriend about the possibility of me staying there for a month. She never initiated the conversation and very rarely answered my texts/calls. At some point I called her out on it, demanded that she show some interest on her part considering how I would be making a significant financial investment if I had decided to go through with the plan. She told me she was busy and that she would call me back. She never did. One day I simply had enough, blocked her on all social media, and haven't talked to her since. All relationships require effort. If people care, they will show you they care. She told me the friendship no longer held value to her and she always viewed it as shallow, which I found rather ironic considering I was the one that she called when she had suicidal thoughts. She lived with my family after her dad beat her. We Skyped every week for years. When I moved away, traveled together, were best friends for almost a decade, created countless memories together, and I told her every secret I had during that time. But apparently it wasn't the same for her. He wanted everything to be about him and hated when anyone else got attention. He was super aggressive and would yell at people for nothing. He was addicted to sports drinks and was always super hyper, which only made him more aggressive. One time he came over and bullied my brother and punched a wall in anger when I told him to stop. That's where I drew the line and cut him off. He lost a lot of his friends over the years and last I checked he managed a grocery store. Hope you cleaned up your act, Kyle. I never stopped being friends with my best friend. We have grown apart, however, mostly because he moved. However, there was this girl who was one of my best friends back in the day whom I stopped talking to because a relationship was starting to get unhealthy. We argued because of a stupid thing. She asked for us to be friends again, then replaced me with someone else, then came to me asking why we weren't talking as much, and then blamed me, and we started getting into stupid arguments again. It got to the point of me not wanting to talk to her, and eventually we talked, sorted things out, and even though we don't talk anymore, if we happen to be in the same place together it's not awkward and we might change some words with each other. I had 2 best friends, male and female, made the mistake of hang out with both together, and they fell in love. After 2 years or so of them being in a relationship, I became too much for his girlfriend. and she did everything she could to make life hard for us as friends. I decided that it was best for him to keep staying with her without me, took the pain and let him go. I feel like he knew I didn't wanna let him, but shit happens. I don't think I will ever stop missing him. Whatever. That's it for today. Complete joyride these last few threads. Be kind to each other in the comments and I'll see you all tomorrow.